Assalamu alaikum and very good day. This is me, Taha Hussein Aladi Rasim from Faculty of Computer Systems and Software Engineering, University Malaysia, Pahang. Welcome to UMB MOOC Exploring Virtual World. This time we have Virtual Reality Input Devices, which is Chapter 2 in this UMB MOOC. At the beginning, we need to explain about Virtual Reality Triangle. In this virtual reality triangle, we have three main components that should be in any virtual reality system, which are immersion, imagination, and interaction. The immersion into the virtual reality, giving the sensation that we are there, we are inside this virtual environment. Interaction, imagination is the human ability to accept the contribution of the virtual reality application to solve the real world problems. The imagination is the human ability to accept the contribution of the virtual reality application to solve the real world problem. While the last main component, which is interaction with the virtual objects through the navigation and manipulation. Immersion, the feeling of presence, being completely or immersive completely inside the virtual environment, and we have to achieve the real time between the action and reaction of the user inside this virtual environment. Interaction, that's mean not just passive watching. The user can move and walk inside the virtual environment and can do different kinds of work. Lastly is imagination. Accepting the virtual reality can help us to solve real-time problems, and accepting different type of application, idea, and different virtual world. The first stage of any virtual reality system is the input device stage. The virtual reality input device can be used to interact with the virtual environment and accept the input from the user. We have two different types of input: active input and passive input. Active input, such as split commands to the virtual reality system issued by the user, can be such as pushing a button. Passive input, such as event triggered by system automatically, such as walking inside the virtual environment, being in environment for a certain time. Sometimes some systems are able to monitor some biological parameters of the user, such as heart rate, body temperature. Index of difficulty can be measured by Fitts-Law. Fitts-Law states that the amount of the time required for a person to move a pointer, such as mouse cursor, to the target area. It's a function to the distance. It's a function of the distance to the target divided by the size of the target, as shown in this formula. Degrees of freedom, or DOF, the freedom of rotate or translate the input devices along different type of axes, such as X, Y, Z. If we consider three axes, X, Y, Z, we have 6 DOF: moving up and down, moving left and right, moving forward and backward, tilting forward and backward, pitching, turning left and right, going, tilting side to side, rolling. So based on that, we have passive and active input devices. Passive input devices, event triggered by the system monitoring by participant. In that one, there is no feedback. The user does not have any feedback for the event. Some of them have some feedback. The user feels feedback, but is not controlled by the computer program. While the active input devices, even specifically triggered by the user. Computer program give an active input devices, even specifically triggered by the user. Computer program give intentional feedback to the user. Examples of passive input devices supporting the movement are keyboard, made actually for text, not for virtual reality, but can be used for virtual reality and still can be used to controlling devices in some simulation. Mouse have 2 degrees of freedom, translation in X and Y, have different types of mouses, can have 1 or 2 or 3 buttons, sometimes have scroll option. Joystick used for video game since 1980 have 2+ degree of freedom and used in flight simulator. Gamepad integrated 2 separate thumbsticks and have additional function buttons inside it. 3D disc mouse used in CAD applications provides hand support and have 6 degrees of freedom. And there are a lot of passive virtual reality input devices with movement support, such as digital pens, graphics tablet, touchscreen, race car controller, FSM controller, car controller. Second is the passive virtual reality input devices with no feedback, such as Data Glove. Data Glove, considered now, is one of the typical virtual reality input device, measuring the position and orientation of the joint in the human hand, and this one is considered as very complex devices. Each joint adds one or more degree of freedom, and in each hand for Data Glove can be considered as third one, and so for Data Glove can be considered more than 20+ degree of freedom. But actually Data Gloves have some drawbacks where required user specific calibration. Each person has hand of different size, very complex and expensive, need high bandwidth to transmit the data, and hygienic issue if equipment is shared, but for public spaces. Different types of passive input devices without feedback. We have Sony Move, we have Wii. Different examples of passive input virtual reality devices without any feedback, such as Sony Move, Wiimote, and Kinect. These devices also give measurement about orientation, about position, but there is these devices also give information about position of the hand or the body, orientation, and there is no any feedback. The third type, which is virtual reality input devices, active input devices with intentional feedback. Active input devices, when we have feedback from the system. Computer system may give feedback to the user during the data input, such as touch screen, when we touch the keyboard, such as touch screen, keyboard, you give us some example of that is touch screen keyboard with haptic feedback. The device vibrates when we press the keys. Other active input devices with feedback, such as Calgary Simulator and Novent Valcon, which is mostly used in virtual reality. And there are a lot of types of active input devices with intentional feedback now, and these devices will be depends on the application itself, the virtual reality environment and application itself. Thank you.